Anybody that maybe wasn't alive after 9/11. It was bad. We didn't like it, and we said we're going to punish these people. We're going to get the people that did this. Al Qaeda, and we said we hate them. We hate Al Qaeda. And then this group called ISIS, which was the Islamic State in Syria, ended up they were pretty serious. And then Trump got in and killed people, and then suddenly they were like gone. And so Trump's like, hey, we killed ISIS. Well, so now Syria has been toppled, and we have spent some time bombing ISIS from the sea, or maybe from the air, maybe both, to stop them from taking advantage of the country, so that the country can be rightfully run by Al Qaeda, which is under the same authorized use of force as the post 9/11 one used to fight Al Qaeda. Thanks, Dad. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your congressman, the third most popular candidate to ever be. I am Frank, and with me, as always...
What's up, planet Earth? I'm Bean.
Bean, the bad man. Speaking of bad man things, Bitcoin broke 108,000, which is lovely. Keep going. Have you heard about Roger Ver? This is kind of trending news. His nickname was Bitcoin Jesus. And so he invested in things. He was one of the earliest companies to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment, like back when it was, not very valuable, selling like memory online or whatever. But he was active in the beginning, and he contends, he just wrote a book about it, that the CIA or somebody infiltrated the Bitcoin conversation and changed it from being a fiat currency that one can replace the dollar with to being this slow lumbering asset that all the valuable, like gold's not easy to buy stuff with. People go, let me give you a 10th of an ounce of gold. They go, I don't even know what that means, And so Bitcoin was supposed to not be like that. It was supposed to be like easy and fast. And there was one of these forks where they said we need smaller block sizes, and he's like, no, big's the way to go. But it just got flooded, and he said there was a lot of censorship. And anyway, so he feels that Bitcoin has maybe not lost its usefulness, but it's taken a turn that makes it challenging. There's like a privacy thing coming up that might help get it back. But like Bitcoin basically became like less private, and like any of the steps towards making it faster and all this kind of stuff got worse. But anyway, he stopped being a citizen in whatever year it was, 2012, 26, I don't know. And so now the U.S. government says that he did not pay enough exit tax, because if you want to get rid of your citizenship and leave the country, you have to put all your assets up and then give them, a little over a third of all your stuff, because they're holding you hostage, apparently. And so he did. Lawyers, accountants, all that kind of stuff. But the U.S. government's like, no, you didn't. And so they want to charge him with potentially convicting him for 190 years or something like that for improper tax filing or whatever. And so as a citizen of Spain, he got arrested because there was an international Interpol warrant for him. And his lawyer was able to get him out on bail, which the U.S. government was trying not to let him get out on bail. And so he's got a hearing about extradition, So he was saying that if he wins his extradition hearing, he'll get a letter saying, congratulations, you won your hearing. If he doesn't, they don't tell him anything. They just get him one day, and then they fly him back to America, and they put him in a federal prison. And then he awaits his trial, and that an international citizen that has lots of money is a flight risk, and so they're going to keep that person locked up until the trial eventually happens, and who knows from there. But imagine walking around going I don't know if I'll ever see the outside. I don't know. This might be my last moment of seeing the outdoors free of a cage, and not even really doing anything, Because at the end of the day, even if, like, the way I understand it is there might be some disagreement upon what is a corporate held Bitcoin, what is a personal held, and how many he has, and all that. But, if you're not paying attention, I don't know. It's just like, if a Bitcoin, all right.
It's about his crypto assets?
It's probably about his crypto assets. Because, that was even a conversation with his attorneys and stuff. Like, you should probably put this amount. He's like, that is an insane amount. That's insane. And so so there's some conversation, which we know about this conversation because the feds raided his tax attorney's office.
Wow.
And took all the protected speech between him and his attorney. And so now we know what it says. Yeah. And so, but it's one of those deals, but that is one of those funny things. All right, like if you got a sack of gold, right? And then, so you dug a bunch of gold in the hills. I know you like to do such things. And, gotta have hobbies. But say you're on your way home and you go, they're going to be coming for my sack of gold, right? So you find the birch tree with the forked limbs, and you dig a big hole by it, and you bury it, and you plant a garden of daffodils so you can find it again. And don't look for this, by the way. There's no gold there. But in reality, say you do all those kind of things. Do you have a bag of gold, or do you not have a bag of gold?
What bag of gold?
Well, but and of course the answer is what bag of gold. but like really, like in reality, like in law, if someone digs up that daffodil garden, have they stolen your gold, or have they just discovered a bag of gold? Like who possesses it if it's just in this thing? And so Bitcoin, like especially cold storage, Bitcoin wallets, they are just a sack buried in a thumb drive, And you possess that thumb drive, you own that, therefore you own the contents. All right, fine. But if you can't prove that, like if it's not, if it's not somewhere in my name, how can you say I have it?
And if it's encrypted, what is it?
Right.
Like that's just an encrypted data. That's just encrypted data. No, that's Bitcoin. No, it's just encrypted data.
And look, if I had to bet, not knowing anything about this man, I know he told his attorneys and his accountants to do everything by the book because he expected for the government to come after him pretty hardcore.
Smart.
Well, he did go to jail for selling fireworks on the internet. He was the only person to ever be charged with that. And it was right after he ran for some office as a libertarian and called the ATF a bunch of murderers because of what they did to Waco. He's like, they're murdering people. That's murder. That's murder. And so you're not going to like him. If I had to bet dollars to donuts, I'm thinking there might be some Bitcoin taxman don't know about. But if you can't prove it, it ain't there.
He's living clean in Spain.
He was trying to. He was literally at a conference, and someone came up to him and was like, "Is this you?" And he thought they wanted a photo or something, or wanted his book was out, like, because this happened immediately after he released his book about the CIA infiltrating Bitcoin. So, and then there's like, "Yeah," and then they took him away. Wild, but that is a man, Roger. I think it's VER, Roger Ver. Maybe there's two R's. But that is a man that does not deserve to be in jail. He's not even a U.S. citizen to be extradited. They're extraditing him for not paying enough of a ransom when he left the country.
You said like 190 years?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. We've watched the thing about the Nickelodeon people. You're like these people who are like molesting. I didn't use the word I'm not supposed to use anymore. Children. They take that word very seriously on the internet. But the people that were harming children were getting like 4 to 6 years. 4 to 6. And they took this very innocent child or children and did horrible things that is going to mess them up for a while, or at least cause damages for them to work through. and 4 to 6 years. But you go, you did pay us a lot of money to give up your citizenship, but we feel it should have been more. It's like, how much? It's like 192 years worth or whatever it is. It's something insane like that. Like, it's, it's a life sentence for, tax evasion. At like, I mean, like when you're really weighing two crimes next to one another, right? Like harming a child and not paying taxes, right? Well, just for the sake of argument, they're both crimes. One of them doesn't have a real victim, those taxes. But just, all right. So how many dollars would you have to withhold from giving the U.S. government before it is the same as harming a child? Like you start going, you go, I mean, so withholding from the government, not stealing from someone else. It's like, yep, no, it's your dollars that you're giving to the government. At what point does that equal the same amount of harm to society? And then you get like whatever that number is, right? You go, I don't know, $1 trillion maybe? You go, okay, $1 trillion. It's like, so at $1 trillion of withheld taxes, they should get 4 to 6 years. I'm just saying, if we're saying to be in line with the conviction or the sentencing for these diddlers.
Well, and the IRS just recently started demanding to know how much money you've made in crypto. So how can that go back that far?
Well, that's the thing, because they only recently required you to report your purchase prices and your sales prices, which is unfortunate. But yeah, that is a problem, because you go like, I don't know, he got paid, and that's the other part. Like, all right, so you got a business, right? And you sold $150 worth of memory. They gave you whatever in Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoin or something. And you go, all right, cool. It's like, so I guess theoretically you'd say, I got that Bitcoin for $50, or would you say I got, or 100, whatever, 150, whatever number I just said, $150. So would you say I bought Bitcoin for $150, or would you say I had a sale with a revenue of $150 taken in, I guess you'd have to say it's like bartering. So I bartered for $150. And then I got this thing, it's like, I have revenue. Because that's the thing. Something that will never, ever happen. If the U.S. dollar becomes more valuable, just stick with me, okay? Obviously, it'll never happen. But if the U.S. dollar did get more valuable, they're not going to, they can't currently tax us for that gain. They can't say, hey, look at the exchange rate versus gold. This dollar's worth more gold. So when you spend $1, instead of it getting you instead of getting $1 worth of stuff, now you can get $1.50 worth of stuff for your dollar. They don't increase the taxes on that difference of the value in the dollar. And that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is currency. And so it's just like, that's how it was. It's just that the exchange rate versus the dollar has become not so favorable, and but it's hard. It's hard to get people thinking that way. Even and accountants are the worst. They have the hardest time with that. Actually, I'm not gonna even get into what accountants do. Okay, well, that's a total aside. So yeah, Bitcoin's at 108. That's great. One of the big things that's been happening that is kind of insane is this drone thing. So over the New York, New Jersey skies, there have been lots of drones that have been appearing, and airliners are reporting it. Tower can't see it. The state police have gone out and then, be like, I'm standing below one right now. I'm on wherever. I'm on Cherry and 27. And they can't see it. It's not on the radar. No one can see it. It's not on the radar. And this has just been happening near some of the busiest airspace in the country, near military bases. And we're getting very little explanation from the government. Everything from, we don't know, we're looking into it, to everything's fine. Which, of course, is the thing you can always believe when the government tells you, don't worry, everything's fine. All right, so there's a twist from today, and then I'll give some background too. From The Blaze with their beautiful website that doesn't have ads. So Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton was shut down for 4 hours on late Friday night and early Saturday morning because small, unmanned aerial systems were spotted in the vicinity. Robert Perdeman, a spokesperson for the Air Force Base, stated on Sunday, installation leadership has determined none of the incursions impacted our base, our residents, our facilities, or our assets. We're taking all the appropriate measures to safeguard the installation and all of our residents. The drone incident in Ohio highlights growing concern over all the stuff in Jersey. The Joint Staff confirmed that there had been sightings of drones over 2 military installations in Jersey, but said it's, quote, not a new issue. It's not new. People, it's fine. We have, this is such a funny place to be. We have confirmed sightings at Picatinny Arsenal and Naval Weapons Station, Earl. Wow. Spokesperson, I mean, we can't get any better naming than that. P-A-N, Pan-Wizzy. That's what it was, Pan-Wizzy. This is not a new issue for us. We've had to deal with drone incursions over our bases for quite a time now. It's something that we routinely respond to in each and every case when reporting a sighting. Yeah, I bet you most of the time some hobbyist buzzes by and they go up and they go, hey, we tracked your drone to your address, kid. You can't do that. Like, you want the full force of the military on your right. And you go, I'm sorry, we'll do it again. In New York, Stewart International Airport was shut down for an hour around 9:40 p.m. on Friday after the FAA reported that a drone was spotted in the vicinity. And they opened hours later, blah, blah, blah. New York Governor Kathy Hochul called on Congress to take action because it's, quote, gone too far. This is where I start getting real squirrely about all this. Hochul petitioned Congress to pass the Counter UAS Authority, Security, Safety, and Reauthorization Act. They're going to give you safety and security through their authority, which would strengthen the FAA's oversight of drones and grant more authority to state and local law enforcement agencies to investigate drone activity like they're not allowed to right now.
Great.
They're allowed to right now. Like, if you have a drone with a camera on it, you have to get a permit through the FAA. Like, you're actually flying an airplane. Like, even if it doesn't go up to, like, small plane. I mean, I know small planes can fly very low, but most of them don't. You know, you can fly 20 feet off the air. You shouldn't, you know? Hochul also implored the New York State Intelligence Center to investigate drone sighting incidents. Extending these powers to New York State and our peers is essential. I assume that's what she sounds like. Until these powers are granted in state and local officials, the Biden administration must step in by directing additional federal law enforcement to New York and the surrounding region to ensure the safety of our critical infrastructure and our people. I bet you that's spot on. Yeah, all right. So Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has called for Congress to pass the same act. It is critical that, as we all have said for a number of years, that we need from Congress additional authorities to address the drone situation. Our authorities currently are limited, and they are set to expire. We need them extended and expanded, like Cialis. We want state and local authorities to have the ability to counter drone activity under federal supervision. Like, please keep the thumb on us as we have these new authorities. So on Sunday, Mayorkas told the Week anchor, Stephanopoulos, there's no question that people are seeing drones. Yeah, thanks. I want to assure the American public that we and the federal government have deployed additional resources, personnel, technology, to assist the New Jersey State Police in addressing the drone sightings. Yeah, the cops are going like, there's one right there. They go, we don't see it. Some of those drone sightings are, in fact, drones. Yeah. No, they are, Charlie.
Some of the drone sightings are drones.
Some are drones, Charlie.
Wow.
Come on. Blah, 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 blah. Some are manned aircrafts that are commonly mistaken for drones. Just hanging out with drones. There's no question that drones are being sighted. He hears us. Drones are being sighted. It's confirmed. That's confirmed. They're turning the drones gay. That's confirmed. All right. That's all right. 2 dudes got in trouble. A lot of tips at FBI. So DHS, DOD, FAA, and FBI said they've been unable to determine who is responsible for flying the drones, but noted that there's no indication that the drones are being operated by America's enemies with nefarious ambitions. Pentagon spokesperson Sabrina Singh said during a Wednesday press briefing that there was, quote, no evidence these are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening, Singh continued. But, at no point were our installations threatened when this activity occurred. I mean, all right. I'm willing to say that I don't think there was anything threatened, but drones can carry technology that can, like a weather balloon designed to just suck data. You can put something like that on a drone and it doesn't have to be quite as powerful because it's just right there.
Yep.
Instead of way up there. And they're not U.S. military drones. Who cares? So, old President-elect Donald Trump said the government knows what is happening. When asked about the wave of suspicious drone sightings across the country, Trump declared, the government knows what is happening. Our military knows where they took off from. They know where it came from and where it went. Which, of course they do. We've seen the satellite, like the open source satellites. We've seen what we can do with like returning fire. Like these drones, they transmit the whole time. We're transmitting the whole time. We can see that. And even if we can't, you just go, oh, look at this drone. Rewind the satellite. We have that capability. Rewind. There it is. That's Timmy. Timmy and his friends. They have 37 drones. We should just holler at Timmy. But they haven't hollered at Timmy. That's the thing about this.
Because it's not Timmy.
Dun, dun, dun. Trump told reporters at Mar-a-Lago, for some reason, they don't want to comment. For some reason, they don't want to keep people, or they want to keep people in suspense. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell people. All right, that's where we're going to end that one for now. All right, so that is the most... This was not a big deal until the federal government made it a big deal. Because they just, you see their answers. They go, some are drones, some are manned aircraft. You go, some are manned aircraft that look like drones? You go, yeah, it happens all the time. You go, does it? Because, like, this is New Jersey in December. It's not like St. Pete Beach. You go, oh, it's an ultralight. It's got some lights on it. You go, yeah, okay. People fly the little ultralights, it's basically like a lawn chair on a big fan, And so you go, all right, I believe you. But they're not flying those in New Jersey in December. And so I don't know what plane is routinely flown that resembles a drone. I mean, some of these drones are the size of a SUV or a car. But I don't know any airplanes that look like that. Right?
It's weird that multiple people are supporting the passing of said act.
Boy, is it.
So is this just a reason to get that passed and it's really nothing?
Isn't that, and that's the thing. When I read this article today, for the first time, I just thought, like, is this just our government doing, a quote unquote false flag type thing just to pass this stupid thing to, like, have more regulation of the skies? And, like,
yeah, like, what's in it? Like, what else is in it,
Oh, yeah, well, of course, what else is in it? I mean, that's always the question. Because that's the thing. That's where you go to. You go, all right, so is it about regulating the skies, or is there something amazing in this thing that they're going to get a new power for? But even the skies, when you talk about people developing, and not very well, but the idea, even Honda, advertises maybe a personal air vehicle made for, just staying within the city type, like the hover cars we've been promised since the Jetsons. I'm disappointed, Charlie.
I think Dubai has some taxis now.
Air taxis?
Yeah.
Well, Dubai,
But there's so much money.
Yeah, well, and like there's been a few attempts. There was an air taxi that was being tested out of St. Pete here, but it was just too expensive. Like, it was fast, and the plane was. The problem is the plane was very fast, but it used too much fuel, made it too expensive, and the only person who in the entire country who could get certified to fly this plane was old Maggie's grandfather.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could barely, when he walked, it was not fast. When he drove, it wasn't great. Put him in an airplane, he's got it. So anyway, that fell apart. So there's been concepts. So I don't know if it's something about that, if something about like SpaceX, like, okay, if Elon can do this and he can do unmanned driving Teslas, like combine the two, maybe he can do whatever. And let's get ahead of it and try to control the skies so we can stop things from happening. I don't know. I lean more towards there's probably something in this act that's nefarious that doesn't sound like anything now, but is probably something pretty bad, But yeah, so that's one thing. It's just like, all right, people are leveraging it to pass some bill. That's not ideal. But yeah, like the government did this by just not talking to us. And this has been a trademark, especially of the Biden administration. Like the trademark of the Trump administration round one was constant leaks and, Trump being Trump. But part of Trump being Trump was he would step aside and talk to the press for 45 minutes, just off the cuff, no notes, no big binder of answers, And, well, we can do that. And, he made stuff up. He weaved. He did everything that Trump does, like he guessed. He said, maybe this, maybe that. So I'm not saying he was out there spouting the truth that as it came to be, but he did spout all of his thoughts in the moment as the executive on the situation, And so you went, all right, well, that's something, and then the leaks that would come out, well, at least we get to hear about what's happening. But like during the Biden administration, it has, and Obama was like this too. It's just, you keep it buttoned up. They don't need to know. They don't need to know. They being all the American citizens that pay these salaries. And so this is a wild one, and it's growing conspiracies. Have you heard of Operation Bluebeam?
Yes.
Okay. I learned about this. My lovely lady was telling me about it. But it's it's something about trying to get one world government, and they create pictures in the sky of like UFOs, and then it's like God, and that's something like that. Am I kind of summarizing it?
Maybe
something like that. It's something about there's the aliens, and then we cry for the government to save us, and the government saves us from the aliens that they projected through some theoretical technology. That's probably nonsense. And but then there's something about making it look like God's coming down to earth, and then doing a little switcherooski. So you go, oh yes, my Christian gods come down. And they go, psych, I'm Vishnu. You go, ow. And so everyone's like, what are we supposed to do about that? Anyway, I don't know. It's a wild one. But that's the thing. This stuff's popping up because the government is clearly just lying to us, as usual. Stephen A. Smith, he just got, the basketball guy. He was just on air ranting about how pissed he is that January 6th stuff's always a lie. He goes, he's finding out more stuff, as it comes out about January 6th. And he's like, it's like everything. It's like, so people just lie about it. This is no insurrection. The reason there wasn't security is because of the Democrats and the people in charge. Like it, but he's like, I can't, he's like, hey, you follow this party and they say the other side is a bunch of liars and they do this stuff. And you find out most of them are the exact same way. They're liars and they do this stuff. But it's one of those things like people are catching on. You can only lie for so much, you know. As I tell the kid, you know, you can lie about planting a seed, but it's never going to grow. You know, it's never going to grow to be a tree. And so you can plant a whole garden of lies, but like it's never going to grow to be a tree. At some point, it's going to catch up. You'll get away with it for a little bit because you go, oh yeah, I planted. Oh okay, I guess I can go. But at some point, people are going to notice there's no trees. You know. And so I think this is catching up with people. So now everyone's just in this pickle where they go, you know, I don't know what they are. And there's a lot of people out there who are kind of awesome. And so everyone's just like, I got a drone. Let's freak some people out. You know, so they're flying them all over the place. Like Ohio will probably end up being just some dudes having a good time. And so, but that's the thing that's been popping up is after all this weird stuff in New York, New Jersey, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. Well, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Hey, don't worry about it. How about that one? Everyone's just like, well, let's freak some people out, you know? Which, yeah, I support. But now, so here's a guy. It's a bit of a long one. But this fella makes drones for a living and gets military contracts. He'll talk about that. We might have to kind of jump and pause and stuff, but I can't remember all the goodness is. Let's see. Bloop.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
My name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally
Wichita's
a
a big
TikTok kind of
aerospace guy.
I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military grade unmanned aircraft. As you can see, one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on.
Sorry, John.
Off the East Coast, and
Your children loved you.
as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones.
It's the Jews.
Surprise, surprise.
I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced
He does
this
a
off
lot
of
of this
anybody,
qualifying.
So, you know, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool.
Curse
You know,
nasties.
I don't want to
Sorry.
spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around.
He's stopping himself from all of his other rants.
Back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there
He doesn't know how to pronounce nuclear.
Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay?
At least.
We don't know where they are. Maybe.
Remember, did you watch God of War with Nick Cage?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're saying a former Soviet bloc country fell and had a bunch of nuclear weapons, and we don't know where they are? Oh, they got sold. You know, I don't know who bought them, but I'm guessing he's got oil money.
Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case.
Go ahead.
So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine.
That's not
And
great.
he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia.
Yeah.
We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Marco.
Back up a few years.
No.
Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from
I don't.
Colorado up into
Yeah.
Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri?
Nope. No recollection whatsoever.
It was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that come up missing here in the United States.
Oh yeah,
And they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the
I
Interstate
really
70
wish you could
corridor,
pronounce nuclear correct.
heading east or west or south. So, from what we understand,
Any of the directions. That's
they
what you're saying.
were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones,
There we
they
go. This is
have
important.
no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason
Or-
for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay?
But
Because they don't see shit. So, unless
He's a
you
man
have
of the
thermal
people.
optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. We have methane gas detection systems that can detect gas leaks in pipelines. You really wouldn't use thermal optics for trying to find gas leaks.
okay. So he goes on about gas leaks and about how basically you can get different equipment. It's I forgot. At some point he goes on and on and on and on and on. But so he goes on to say that like with the thermal optics, the problem with the gas leak is that it's typically so slow that the temperature variation isn't enough to really show up in a scan. So it's not great for gas leaks. But there's different things you can scan for, so temperature variance, and of course anything that is nuclear has to be cooled, but it rises a little hot. But there's different scanning things you can put on these things. And at nighttime, I don't even know if he says this part, but at nighttime you don't have the sun, because if you're looking for heat variance and it's a bright sunny day, even in Jersey, even when it's cold outside, if it's a bright sunny day, it's hitting that asphalt, it's getting hot. Maybe it's not the same as Florida at that time. It's not 115 or something, but it might make it more difficult to see something that is running hot, So it would be a good time to do it. So this is a guy that's a very normal fella. He literally makes drones that are military class. He's out of Wichita, which is a aerospace and aviation hub of America. And he's just like, yeah, there's a nuclear warhead that this fella touched with his hands that he knows is coming to America, and they're trying to find it. It's basically his theory.
But if dude touched it, can he hold on to it and not let that happen?
Well, I don't know where he ended up seeing it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously it'd be great if he was just like, no.
Right, yeah.
But if it's something where they go, I don't know, if you're surrounded by the Russian mafia, this is our nuclear bomb. And you go, oh, look at that. It's nice. Don't touch. Oh, well, I'll just be moving on. I'll take my back and go. So that's one fella. That's one thought. Yeah, let's listen to this one other thought, and then we'll talk. This is an actress who just says she knows some people. I haven't listened to this all the way through, so it's only 2 minutes. We'll experience it together.
You're going to think I'm nuts, but why
You're
should
nuts.
today be any different than any other day? I know this guy whose father worked with the Pentagon and NASA and secret projects, and he has been messaging me that he will never forgive himself if he doesn't tell
Do you
the
know who
people
this
that he
actress
knows
is?
that for a month
No
he's
idea who
been
that is.
watching this situation, and now
Looks like a boxer.
several days ago, before it became a discussion
Or she got
in
spiked.
the mainstream media, that these drones are ours and that they could very possibly be sniffing out something very dangerous, some missing dangerous W from the war, and that
W,
areas
a weapon.
that
I assume.
coincide with where the drones have been seen have spiked in radiation. So he said it's time to think about where I am and that I might want to go somewhere with my daughter. So, like, for me, you know, we blow things off and we think nothing's going to happen, but things do happen. I remember sitting in my car with my driver who said to me months before I even knew what the words global pandemic meant, I think there's going to be a global pandemic. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, if he had bet the markets, he would have been a billionaire. So I'm just listening to this guy and watching. And now Trump, who's hanging out with a lot of billionaires who have a lot of money for research, is also finding out that these are ours. And what were the government's choices? A, tell us that that's what they're doing and widespread panic and pandemonium, or B, do what they're doing. But something is wrong because otherwise they would eliminate them, and everyone's being very cagey. So what do you think? This guy has also been talking to different people in government positions who agree and are watching now.
Great addition. Okay, so that was Bethany Frankel. No idea who that is. But I assume she's a lovely actress and a lovely lady, and I think she needs more protein in her diet. Just, you know. Anyway, so she's talking to somebody that's got government connections, theoretically, saying, hey, it seems like it's something nasty, which seems to imply the nuclear warhead that this fellow was talking about.
A lot of people in New York, so.
A lot of people in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. I mean, come on, like, if you take, you know, Manhattan, Jersey, Connecticut, you know, and then, like, the rest of New York, too, of course. I mean, Philly's not that far. So, you know, a warhead, that would be a terrifying thing. And as a government, you probably would not be quick to tell everyone that you're searching for the lost nuclear warhead as if this is an action movie from the 1990s, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Skeet Ulrich. Look it up. It's a thing. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? These two people are kind of saying the same thing. Like, if you're looking, like, this one guy's like, I've seen it, or my buddy has seen it. My buddy has seen the warhead, knows it's, you know, it's destined for us. And I think the government's looking for it. And this lady is saying, this guy's like, hey, why don't you leave with your kids? Because I think this is a W left over from war. So what are your thoughts about these two folks?
I mean, it definitely takes my mind away from it just being a reason to pass legislation.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. I mean, you definitely don't want your populace losing their minds, so I guess you would keep it quiet if it is a real thing.
Yeah, though, obviously that is not working. Because, I mean, I get that instinct, right? You get the instinct of, you go, there's something that is potentially upsetting to a number of people. This is whether it's a personal issue or government or business or whatever. But you go, there's something on the horizon. I think it would be quite upsetting for some people, and I don't know if they'll be able to process it logically. I'm gonna keep it close to the vest and see if we can get this resolved, and we'll just tell them after the problem solved, you know? So you can kind of understand that perspective, but I think that is a micro perspective. I don't think you can do that at a macro level. Even on a micro level, if I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good example, but like, yeah, you know, you don't tell your wife and your family about something because you don't want it to upset them. They go, okay, well, I'm going to handle it. And maybe you get handled, you tell them afterwards. I still think they're upset, or you don't get it handled and you let them know, like, now it's going to definitely happen. And they go, hey, well, now it's too late for me to have helped. So maybe on a micro doesn't even work, but like on a macro level, when people are like, we all see it. Like the FAA is confused, pilots are confused, state police of New Jersey are confused, and you're just like, hey, don't worry about it.
What drones?
Yeah, they go, some of them are drones. You did see some drones. Go, well, what the hell is that? What are the other things? Some might be manned aircraft that are supposed to be there. Well, are they? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Maybe.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, it could be fine. You know, but is it fine? Because these are military, so they're not military drones, but they're both military bases.
And they're not any of our enemies.
Yeah, that's And also, does that? Well, I guess they already said it's not their own. Just saying, the government's not our friend. Okay, so those are two people saying it's the BAM. All right, this I think is the mayor of like Newark or something like that. Let me see. What was Newark. What is this? Oh no, maybe Belleville, New Jersey. I have no idea where that is. But look at this guy. He's on Good Day New York, so it's got to be pretty close to New York.
Hey.
Yo, hey. Of course, he has his hair slicked back. I mean, he's got to. Oh, boy. Let me look this up real quick.
And it's this lack of transparency, in my opinion, that's doing nothing but fueling conspiracy theories online.
Do you have any idea what it could be? Or which side it could be, where it's coming from?
Yeah, I can tell you what it's not. We know for a fact
It's not a butterfly.
And more than likely, it's not a foreign adversary, because they would be able to figure out how to turn off the blinking lights. These drones are huge.
It's not a non-compete.
We had a mayor yesterday on the call
we
with the
haven't-
White House telling them that
Like what?
That's not my prenuptial agreement. Obviously, my wife ripped that thing up, and now I'm up to here.
he had 6-foot drones hovering over his house. Yet they continue to tell us we don't know what we're talking about. It's misidentification. Certainly, there's some misidentification probably going on, but I could assure you
Essex
that
County.
we are seeing drones
Newark and
in New
Essex.
Jersey all over the place.
All right, so Bethany Frankel, I know she's not like, the New York Times, but she says that she has
Look,
some
this
kind
is so regional.
contact at the Pentagon, and that it has something to do with radioactive material in New Jersey. What do you hear?
So here's what I know. I know that we were told by our state police that we have assets over our critical infrastructure. Now, depending on your point of view, that's either concerning or comforting. I think it's comforting because it's probably us listening and watching. We also know that we have drones that are flying in a grid-like pattern. In my opinion, they're looking for something. What might they be looking for?
What might?
Potentially,
Waldo.
we're aware of a threat that came in through Port Newark. Maybe that's radioactive material. There was and there is an alert that's out right now that radioactive material in New Jersey has gone missing on December 2nd. It was a shipment. It arrived at its destination. The container was damaged and it was empty. So
Okay,
potentially
wait,
we're looking
stop
for
right
that.
there, Mayor, because that's very important information. And that came from a credible source.
That came from the U.S. government.
All right. I can't listen to this woman talk. I can't look. Also, I didn't know this dude was on the show other than like NFL.
I've seen it. I was gonna say, he looked familiar.
Yeah, he's a Fox guy, Kurt Menefee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I guess he does Good Day New York, which why not? You can't get everybody can get Good Morning America. Also, I wonder if he got pissed that the old Strahan got Good Morning America when he just came to the scene and he's like, I've been doing Good Day New York, busting my chops at a local level. Anyway, so this guy who is a government employee and elected official from a neighboring town of New York, he says that radioactive materials were shipped to the port of Newark and then shipped on a boat. And when it got to its destination, they said, oh, the container's damaged, but also it's empty. Which is something for a radioactive container to have sailed the seas empty. And no one checked. I don't know how you... surely this stuff's like in a barrel. But, I mean... somebody's got to be checking this stuff, right? Like, it's nuclear material. Is Is it from from generating power? Is it from like what the hell is it from? You know?
Right.
All right. So now we have this guy saying we may have lost some nuclear material. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. Why is he the one? Everyone's been like denying, deflecting, but this guy's like, yeah, it came from Jersey.
That's a good question. Like, why? And he's saying there's probably some missing materials. Probably our people. I feel comforted by it. They're in a grid-like pattern, trying to find the nuclear material. It's nice. But yeah, so why? So yeah, what are your thoughts as to the why? Like, what is this? What is this that we're watching?
I can't tell. I can't tell if it's just a giant distraction or if somebody just, picked it up while it was en route and ran off, Or
and so
sailed off, I guess it would be.
And so you go, all right, one guy says a trusted source saw a nuclear warhead destined for America. A lady says, but a connected fella says, get out of Dodge. Just, there might be something bad and you should leave. It might be a weapon. And a third guy, who's the government of a small town. So he's a politician, right? He's a politician. He's a mayor. He's mayor of a town we've never heard of. It's in Essex County, which I think is the same as Newark, or it's right in that same region. So, he's the little guy on the block. He probably wants to be senator, governor, something like that, right? He's not done it mayor of the small town, and he, probably don't want to move to have to get more votes. It's better to maybe House of Representatives. They know you. You're going to move up. But you're still a relative unknown. So you go out, you've heard some things, you've talked to some people, and you go, I know how to spin this. I'll be a hero. Hey, we're just missing some stuff over here. It's just our people. We're going to find it over here. So I don't know. I think it's to fess up to losing imagine if it was a damaged container. It is one of those shipping boxes that you can build a house out of, Imagine something like that, those sort of containers. So you go, okay, a giant container is empty, and it's not a tank, right? So you don't pour the nuclear stuff in there and there's a nick on the outside all drained out in the ocean. This is going to be barrels or something, or I guess probably not, but something, protected containers, lead lined, lead surrounded, whatever. A bunch of containers designed to hold a bunch of nuclear materials. So they didn't leak out. They weren't in there. So now you've kind of let that out of the bag, that regardless of what's happening in the world, we have just misplaced a butt ton of nuclear materials that can be used to make, it's already enriched. It can be used to make some sort of dirty, let's say dirty bomb. I don't know. These internet rules are tiresome. Anyway, but it can be used to make that. So I don't know, to let that out of the bag is a strange one. It strikes me as a self-confident idiot that knows he can fix the problem by getting out there. I don't know this guy. I don't know his town. Maybe he's brilliant. I don't know. But it strikes me as a guy that goes, oh, I can solve this one. I got it. I know what to say. And he's just out there either lying about nuclear material because there is an actual warhead floating around, the New York, New Jersey area, maybe into Pennsylvania, because the drones are in Pennsylvania and stuff too. They're moving methodically through these northeast states. So it's either that there is a nuclear warhead out there, and he goes, we lost some material. What's the big deal over in Newark? Hey, it happens, and like maybe don't like the Newark mayor, maybe throw that person on the bus. But I don't know, because otherwise you create a new issue where you go, if there is no warhead, but now there's what, people stole a bunch of nuclear material they can use to make bombs, like, and also, is it both? I don't know. That's sort of my read on things. What do you think?
I know old Jonesy was talking about a false flag event involving a U.S. made warhead.
Oh, Alex Jones was?
Yeah.
Well,
So I don't know if this. I mean, that was actually a couple months ago. I think that he
Was it really?
Yeah.
It's gotten crazy with Alex
It's
Jones.
like
I
hit
used
or miss with him.
Well, I mean, it is, but like it's one of those things I used to always just kind of roll my eyes and just go, "Hey, he's wilding out." But
Trying to sell iodine,
yeah, but even when it was turning the frickin' frogs gay, I can't. That's the hardest one for me to accept. Turn the frickin' frogs gay, and you go, well, that's turning them trans, but that's pretty damn close. And there's it's like, oh, there's an island of celebrities and politicians. It's a pedophile island where they serve up children to the pedophile government. And you go, what? That's crazy. And then you go, oh, shit. So I don't know. When he says stuff, it's still think he's crazy, but it does worry me more. So he was saying something about a false flag operation with a U.S. made warhead to make
it look like Russia did it.
We have lied our way into war.
And Christmas is right around the corner.
It sure is. Sure is. I mean, we lied our way into Vietnam. We lied our way into World War One. We lied our way into the second Gulf War. What the hell was that one? Enduring Freedom Operation.
I don't even remember.
Operation America. Hell yeah. Something I don't know. Anyway, but that one, the weapons of mass destruction. And just now, today. So, anybody that maybe wasn't alive after 9/11, it was bad. We didn't like it, and we said we're going to punish these people. We're going to get the people that did this. And it was like, hey, these people are called Al Qaeda, and we said we hate them. We hate Al Qaeda, and so we're like, they're hiding in Afghanistan. Afghanistan said, that's not us. We don't know them. We go, well, you do, and you either get them out, give them to us, or we're coming in. And they said, we don't even know him. So we went in, and we wrecked the joint, and we were fighting Al Qaeda. And then we went to Iraq because of something, I don't know. And we fought them too because Al Qaeda? I don't know. And then we kept kind of sort of fighting, kind of dancing and fighting. And then Barack Obama's in charge. And then this group called ISIS, which was the Islamic State in Syria, which they later changed to the Islamic State in, was it Levant?
Yeah,
ISIL, yeah. But okay. And so it was like Barack Obama called them the JV team. Ended up, they were pretty serious, pretty good at chopping heads off, and pretty good at being kind of crazy. And so they got going. And then, Trump got in and killed people, and then suddenly they were, gone. And so Trump's like, hey, we killed ISIS. We did it. Well, so now Syria has been toppled. And we have spent some time bombing ISIS from the sea, or maybe from the air, maybe both. But CENTCOM said we've dropped a whole bunch of explosives on a bunch of ISIS to stop them from taking advantage of the country, so that the country can be rightfully run by Al Qaeda, which is under the same authorized use of force as the post 9/11 one used to fight Al Qaeda, who may have been developed in Afghanistan when we needed them to fight the Soviets. So we funded them, but then we fought them.
We trained them too.
We trained them too.
Thanks, CIA.
Yeah, we trained them and funded them. Then we fought them real good. And now we are their air support. support. And ISIS is bad still. I don't know. I'm telling you, this is why I say we're going to be fighting against Ukraine in 20, 30 years. It will be, and you know what we're going to say? Like, I have to survive because I have to watch this. We're going to give the same reason to go to war in Ukraine that Vladimir Putin gave. We're going to have to denazify it. And I've already said my theory, it's like the Azov battalion's going to rise up and they're going to be a little Nazi, maybe a lot Nazi. And so it's like, they're trying to do stuff over there. I don't know what they're doing. They do something. And we got to go to war against them. Bunch of Nazis. And so we're going to say the exact same stuff that old Pooty Poot says now. And we're going to go in there and maybe Russia or China funds their defense. And we're in a protracted multi-year war in Ukraine. It's going to happen. Just like Afghanistan, we made the Soviets go into Afghanistan. And then they're like, we're out of here. And then we went in. And then we couldn't get anything going. And it was horrible for 20 years. And, Vietnam's. Anyway. That's my theory. I don't want it to happen. I hope we make good decisions where we stop. Don't laugh at that, Charlie. I said I hope, okay? I'm allowed to have hope. I'm an optimist. But anyway, I hope we make decisions where that won't happen. But, we're going to war with them. Yeah. They'll be mad. Why they're mad at us, too. They'll be like, you destroyed our country. And be like, no, I didn't. Russia did. I go, yeah, but you didn't let us fight, really. You just gave us enough money to get destroyed. And we go, nuh-uh. And then we go, they're lying. They're lying.
Oh, look, drones.
Yeah. Yeah, the murder drones. So, I don't know, man. To wrap up our drones, we don't know. It's possible that it's just our country searching for a lost nuclear warhead or lost materials to make nuclear explosives. Could be one of those. Could be one of those. We don't know. We won't know. And they asked Trump if he'd been briefed on it. And he said something like, or, what were you told? Have you been briefed? What were you told? He's like, I don't want to go into that now. I just think the government knows. They know where it's coming from. And they should say something. And so, the government does know because Donald Trump knows.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
And he answered it in a very, surprisingly professional way. And it's one of those things when you answer that way, you go, y'all definitely know, So they got to tell people. How much... Why do I have tax forms being emailed me to? Okay, how much time are we at?
We're at an hour.
You're at an hour. Let me see if anything's, quick. Yeah, daylight savings time. Trump wants to get rid of it. All right, we can do these kind of quick. So there's two things going on. Actually, here, but we're not that one yet. We're going to do that second. Okay. So, Biden's been doing some stuff before leaving office, including starting World War III. But when he's not starting World War III, he's got other things he's been up to. So the Biden administration, this is from April 16th. This is the right article.
April 6th.
Okay, so he did this before the election. But implemented a new rule that make it more difficult. Oh, this isn't the right one. This would make it... Okay. Mash it. Okay. So, this is part of it. Biden changed a rule to make it harder to fire federal employees because he was afraid of Trump winning. This rule is meant to counter Trump rule known as Schedule F, which would have taken away protection of civil servants and made sure political reasons were not the reason for them being hired. Conservatives sharply criticized the rule change, saying it would make federal bureaucracy less accountable. The article I meant to bring up is that the Biden administration started negotiating contracts with Social Security or somebody like that. One of the departments that's been working largely remotely. They just renewed a labor contract with the union. You saw that?
Yeah, it is Social Security.
Is it? Okay. And so where it's like, all right, you can still work remotely, still, work, and you can't get fired for this much time. So basically trying to lock up all these federal employees in a way where the Doge and the Trump administration can't come in and fire it. So it's specifically, you lost an election and you're making a move specifically to undermine what this guy just ran on, which all the people voted for, both popular and electoral votes, which the Democrats have just brought a bill for to end the Electoral College in the Senate. That's a real thing. They want to get rid of it. They pretended they didn't for a while. Some did. Some were like, yeah, let's get rid of it. And now they've got a bill. So anyway, so that's one thing. So, a guy wins on shrinking the government, making it more efficient, getting Elon and Vivek in there and like doing some good stuff. And people are like, we want that. And so now Biden's like, I'm going to do something. So you go, all right, that's a little petty. It's not quite to the level of when George W. Bush got elected and they stole the W's off of every single keyboard in the White House. This is a real thing that happened. And the Clintons stole all the furniture. They got called and they were like, oh, we thought it was ours to keep. It's like, you thought you could keep the Lincoln bedroom, bring the furniture back. So, oh, more bad. They literally tried to steal the entire White House on their way out the door because Arkansas, not everyone from Arkansas, but they were Hot Springs, Arkansas trash. Bill Clinton was not a boy from Hope, Arkansas. He is from Hot Springs, Arkansas. And there's some fine people there, but there's also some shady people, like his father. His father was a hustler, and Bill was a hustler, and they thought they could steal all the furniture in the White House. Anyway, but stealing all the W's was something that was pretty petty. But here's something even more so. So this is from the Daily Wire from a couple days ago. The Biden administration is using its final weeks to haul a massive amount of border wall materials away from the southern border to be sold off in a government auction, an apparent effort to hinder Trump's effort to secure the border. Videos. They're taking it from 3 stations, Nogales, Tucson, and 3 Points, the Border Patrol agent said, who was granted anonymity to speak freely. The goal is to move all of it off the border before Christmas, which this is what, the 17th? Okay. Trump made clear during his campaign that he intends to finish the construction. The government contractors moving it. So, all right, whatever. The auction website shows that the sales occurred as recently as December 4th for precisely the same type of materials being pulled off the border. December 11th and 18th are the auction set. So you see all the steel being sold. It looks like at
It's cheap.
Yeah, junkyard prices. Look at all this. You probably, to get all that for $5, you could turn around and scrap it for more than that. So, yeah, we can kind of get off this. So, on his way out the door, knowing that Trump's in both of his wins, the border has been a huge part of it. And this time, unlike the last 2 times, he even won the popular vote on it, and like it or don't, most voters in America voted for him for this, Did we talk about how the Democrats get away with saying that he didn't win the popular vote?
No, we have not talked about it. No.
This was something I discovered at Thanksgiving. Because I heard Van Jones say it at one point when he was pretending to be, they did like how to talk to your Republican relative, Van Jones played the how to answer the thing. First of all, he did not win the popular vote. And so I had a relative who was like, well, actually he didn't. And so I looked and I said, well, how do you mean, And this relative was like, well, if you look at all the people who voted in the last election, and all like the registered voters, he got fewer than half the voters that voted in the last election or something like that. Or basically, if you look at people who didn't vote, if you look at the registered voters and count them all up, he got less than 50% of the registered voters. And therefore, he didn't win the popular vote. But it's like, yeah, but he got over 50% of the people who did vote.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you determine who won the popular vote.
Majority.
Yeah, it's like, if you didn't vote, you can't, like, yeah. Because I even said, I was like, you know, the kind of anarcho-libertarian people kind of will use this argument as logic why it's all stupid. I was like, because if you look at the math of the number of people that vote for somebody and you compare it to the population of the country, you go, all right, well, 25-30% of this country just elected this person. That means, you know, 70-75% of the country did not choose this person. So we're being ruled by a minority. And so, you know, that was something where a couple of others were like, they didn't like to hear that. But anyway, so but Trump wins, and he's going to build. This is material that we, as taxpayers, already paid for. We bought this already. It's stacked up there. They can use it to build. We've already paid for it. They're selling it for pennies on the dollar. I mean, less than scrap value, it looks like. And so they're just going to take whatever, literally whatever. And then when Trump comes in, they're going to order the stuff again. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 times as expensive compared to 6 years ago. And it's just like, hey, screw all you. I mean, because this is a level of pettiness by the Biden administration. Whoever it is, it ain't Biden, it's somebody. But like whoever it is that's this petty, like you're hurting the entire country. Like the people voted to get the budgets and everything under control. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. But that's, you know, there's a movement for getting this thing under control finally. And you're just going to be like, hey, guess what? Screw that. Why don't you purchase something you already purchased, but this time spend more money on it. And also you've already spent that past money. We'll just keep spending money because we just made the money. So I don't know. This is one of the most petty things that I've seen. And even without you don't have to be a vocal supporter of the Southern Wall to know that selling this stuff at pennies on the dollar when he has promised he's going to order it again, like that is only hurting the United States of America. It only hurts everyone in America. It's not just like a dig at Trump. It's going to affect Trump less than it affects most people. He's like 80. He's a billionaire. He's president. You know, he pays his taxes or whatever. We have to deal with this for the entirety of getting it off of the deficit. Like our national debt. Like it's adds to our national debt. And those of us who are going to be alive for decades have to deal with it for decades. So thanks, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. All right. Well, I think that'll do us for this week. I think soon we might have something to announce with some locals. But like and subscribe, share these things, add us on the YouTubes or the Rumbles if you listen to the audio. And we've got the Instagrams up now at Loaded Talk Show, just like our Twitter at Loaded Talk Show. And we're putting our reels up there, which is the same as our YouTube shorts. Yeah, that's my message. What you got for the peeps?
They're not drones.
Your mom's a drone.
She might be a drone. But she might not be.
But she might be.
She might be.
There definitely was a drone.
Was there?
We think. At least something was a drone. I'll say this. You have seen a drone.